This is the Crisscross Show. I'm back. It's been about 2 weeks since I was last here. In today's episode, I'm going to give you 5 things people don't want to hear. Players leaving isn't bad, so let's calm down. Let's stop disrespecting players from this era. Also, I'm going to talk about things that bug me, why the NBA needs to finish the season, and my playoff predictions if the NBA does come back. All right, so let me start off with this topic. So 5 things people don't want to hear about. So obviously I'll go down the line. There is there is 6, so I'm gonna go down with the first one. So number 6 is hockey isn't that good. Now let me just say this, because I may have some hockey lovers here that view this, and let me defend myself. When we're talking about sports coming back, I haven't heard hockey coming back. I've seen little segments on Sports Center, on FS1, and all those other sports stations. I haven't really heard much about people wanting hockey back. I mean, on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, all I hear is NBA and that the NFL should have a season. The NFL is going to be fine. College football is going to be fine. College basketball. I hear all these people worried. People are even worried about NASCAR. People are worried about the UFC. Boxing. I haven't heard anybody talk about hockey, and that's what makes me think hockey's just not that popular. We're not Canada, okay? Our major sports are basketball, football, and baseball, and it's crazy to think that baseball is more popular than hockey because baseball's boring, right? I mean, no one wants to sit through an 82 game home season for many teams and watch baseball, right? So in my opinion, hockey's something that people don't want to hear, but they should, because it's not that great. Number 5, bandwagons don't ruin sports or don't destroy sports. And look, this is what I'm gonna say: we need all types of fans, right? We need those loyal city fans. We need those fans that cheer on teams, cheer on players. I don't think they ruin them. Coming from a bandwagon fan myself, that I've been called many times, I don't think we ruin sports. If anything, I think, die-hard sports fans for their city ruin the sport because they make it not fun. They just trash on everyone. It's not fun. Bandwagon fans aren't the problem. It's the loyal fans that want to disrespect anything. Number 4, stop trying to meet society's idea of success. This is something that I saw around Facebook, around other radio shows. Meeting society's idea of success is different than your success. Right now, the reason why I say this is because there are different versions of success, right? The main success for basically every parent that they want for their kid is to be a doctor, right? And as a kid, especially me growing up, as my parents wanted me to be a doctor, I never wanted to be a doctor. I never saw myself as a doctor. And I was trying to meet my parents' success until, I actually realized I wanted to be something else. And then, that was my success. I considered that a success when I was a basketball coach and when I became a teacher. That was my success. Society didn't tell me. Society encourages kids to get an education to be, a lawyer or doctor, someone that makes a lot of money, right? But a lot of people's success isn't that. Yes, there are building blocks. I don't want to be a teacher for the rest of my life. I want to obviously go higher, or at least, get paid a little bit more. But, it's just, stop trying to meet society's success. Stop trying to get people to peer pressure you to be something you're not. Number 3, obviously, be you. Something a lot of people don't want to hear, but a lot of people say that they are themselves. I believe that being you is, important. I'm always me. I'm very authentic now. I rub a lot of people the wrong way because of, being myself. I wouldn't rub a lot of people the wrong way if I was the way they wanted me to be. So just being you, be yourself. I'm pretty sure you'll be fine. Number 2, other people's opinions don't matter. Again, at the end of the day, you're the one that makes the decision. Unless you're interviewing, then you don't really get to make the decision. But again, you know, ultimately, if you seek out advice, I get the whole seeking out advice, but ultimately, it's up to your decision. Don't let others influence you into, you know, making this drastic change. You know what's best for you and do what's best for you. And that's probably something people don't really want to hear. Also, number one, and again, this is kind of ridiculous, athletes not being loyal. And this is what I'm going to say. As athletes not being loyal has nothing to do with you as a fan. Like, I'm just going to say this now. Athletes don't care what really fans think if they leave or stay. Because at the end of the day, think about it. Think about this in your situation. You get a job somewhere else. You've lived in, you know, say Chicago your entire life. Then you get a job out in Utah that pays a ton more. You're going to stay because all your friends and family are there when you're going to be keeping the same job, making the same amount of money, when you can go to Utah, make probably 3 times as much, and, you know, not really explore. Some people do that, some people don't, right? That's why some athletes stay and act loyal, and that's why others just leave to chase the money or chase the championships. You know, think about this in your situation. If you get offered a job somewhere else, and even not even moving to a different city, it could be you get a different job somewhere else, like in a, you know, in the same city, but, you know, they offer you more money, they offer you more benefits. You're not going to leave that situation because you want to stay in your old job because you like it there, because the people are great. No, I mean, life is all about moving on and, you know, chasing better things, you know. And I think I don't hassle the athletes when they leave and they're not loyal. So those are 6 things people don't want to hear. All right, again, and I kind of said this on my last segment. Players leaving isn't bad. And again, I'll say this, players leaving isn't bad. A lot of people, you know, hated on Kevin Durant because he left OKC because he wasn't loyal. But if you think about it, I mean, he left. The Warriors became the most hated team in America. Everyone watched Warriors game to either watch them lose or to watch them win. I mean, you know, also players leaving isn't bad. Another one, again, prime example, LeBron James leaving. He left because he couldn't win in Cleveland, right? Cleveland wasn't giving him the players to supply a win. Players leave all the time, like people leave all the time. I don't think it's bad. I think it adds more entertainment. You know, everyone complains about, you know, players leaving, the league not being fun anymore. I mean, if you think about Tom Brady, everyone's excited for Tom Brady. You know, everyone's excited when a football player leaves and they go, oh, how are they going to be? You know, when Khalil Mack left, I mean, everyone was just happy that he left, that he's in a new situation, that he's going to be this defensive player that's going to be amazing. You know what I mean? It happens all the time. Players leaving isn't bad. It adds excitement to different locations. I'm pro players leaving whenever they want to either chase championships or to chase rings, because at the end of the day, we judge them if they have championships and we judge them if they ever won at a high level. So, you know, players are not, you know, necessarily doing what you want, but, you know, they're trying to better themselves. All right, my next segment, and this one's kind of jumping around the point of the crisscross show. We're supposed to cross everywhere. I want to talk about my college, because I feel like I don't really talk about that. So in my college, or when I was in college, I was very, very hard on my school. I was very cryptic on them. I tweeted a lot of, not necessarily mean stuff, but a lot of very judgmental stuff. You know, because like I said, I went to that school. I cared about everything that school did. You know, I paid a lot of money to go to that school. Not saying that I paid a lot of money, so I have the right to say anything, but, you know, it's just a lot of things they did. You know, as a student who, you know, was there basically all day, who was, like, I loved Concordia sports. You know, I just was a huge passionate fan, and that's what happens, right? I was a huge passionate fan. A lot of things I didn't like what they did. You know, I mean, it just happens, right? So, what I I was always hard on the men's basketball team because again I love basketball and I wanted our men's basketball team to be good. They'd hype up the basketball team. They'd be like, "Oh, he did this, he did that, he did this person, this person, this person." And when I was there, they averaged, I think it was 7 wins, 2 wins, 4 wins, 5 wins. I mean, they weren't averaging double-digit wins. The women's team was flourishing. I mean, I was critical on them during the playoffs because when they went to the playoffs, they lost the opening round when they destroyed that other team throughout the season, and then they lose them in the playoffs. And I just don't get it. But the men's team, I mean, I was very hard on them because they got overhyped. Like, they were a very overhyped team for a team that didn't win. So I didn't really like the overhypeness. I think that, they praised the basketball team because they wanted people to go to games. Again, I thought the team was talented. I just didn't know if the players were being used the right way. That's not my opinion. That is my opinion, but that's just my opinion on that. Also, I didn't like how CUC ran through coaches. I mean, they couldn't keep a coach. In my tenure there, I think the basketball team had 3 different coaches. The soccer teams had multiple coaches. I don't like how they kind of just let coaches go or, didn't fight for a coach enough. They're just inconsistent. And I think that's what happens with sports is that, when you're running through coaches and you're not giving anyone a chance to kind of recruit because, in college, the big thing is recruiting. And, if one coach recruits these certain players and then you fire that coach or that coach leaves and then other players and then that coach comes in and he gets all these players that probably don't fit his system and then, he's trying to figure it out. So, I mean, they just run through coaches. That's one thing I was really hard on is, keep a coach for 4 or 5 years. Cross-country programs have been kind of consistent because they keep their coaches. I mean, the baseball team has been awesome because they keep their coaches for more than 2-3 years. I was hard on them because I was a huge, passionate fan. I love the school in general. I loved going there. Past couple months I went to like 8 basketball games from the school because, again, I want them to be successful, and I guess I'm hard on them because I just want them to be so successful, because I went there. But yeah, I was hard on them, but I don't think it was anything bad. I think it's just because I just wanted to encourage them. All right, now I'm going to kind of stay on the basketball side, but I'm going to switch back to the NBA. And I've been hearing this a lot on radio stations, obviously because they're looking for content, right? There's no sports going on. We're all looking for content. So one thing that I've noticed, and I know all these professional sports talkers are talking about this or whatever, but one thing I don't like is how they're disrespecting players from this era. I mean, they're saying, oh, the 80s was brutal, the 90s was brutal, early 2000s was brutal. I mean, I don't really get this. I mean, I saw a lot saying how many points would Michael Jordan average, how many points would Larry Bird average if they were in this, era. And again, stop disrespecting the players from this era. You're making them seem like they're weak. Like if they were in the 80s, they'd be, out of the NBA in like 2 seconds. I don't get that. Like, look, Larry Bird was great. Michael Jordan was great. But putting them in this era is way different. Like, people are saying Michael Jordan could average 50. To be honest, I don't think so. I think averaging 20 is hard in the NBA, regardless of what era. Again, back then, the scores were like 80, 89, and people were amazed that Michael Jordan was averaging 30 points or whatever during those times, and they were scoring about 80 points a game. Again, I just don't like the disrespect. I think sports has evolved. I mean, the rules have changed to favor some players, to not favor some players. You can't really compare. I mean, I don't like saying that, oh, if LeBron was in the 80s, he would average. No, I don't know. No one knows for sure. Can we stop this whole disrespecting players from this era, saying that if, Magic was here in this era, or if Michael or Larry were in this era, they'd be gods or whatever. I mean, again, it's a lot of old sportscasters that say this, the ones that think their era was so amazing, and I get that. Doesn't matter. I mean, I just want them to stop disrespecting players from this era. I think a lot of the players, from this era are hit and miss now, just because of how social media treats them. But again, I think keep the ears different. We all have our different opinions, but I don't think it matters. And I want them to stop disrespecting players from this era, because you're influencing people growing up watching this sport. When they hear this stuff, that they go, "Oh, it's terrible now." Like, just stop that. It's ridiculous. All right, now I kind of just went over something that bugs me. So now I want to go over things that actually bug me. And this is something that I've very, very been passionate about on social media. So D3 signing days is something that bugs me, because we get the whole Division 1 signing day. You're getting a scholarship to go to the school. You're gonna, I get it. Division 1 is different from Division 3. Like, they practice 10 times a day compared to, Division 3, where they practice maybe once or twice, right? And then their schedule is more travel than ours. In Division 3, you don't travel that much. You travel, at least 50 miles. The longest I've probably traveled being a Division 3 athlete is maybe 150 miles. I mean, and that was going up to Wisconsin. But like I said, D3 signing day has always confused me, because it's like, what are you signing? You're not really committing to play a sport, because I can literally go to that school and play the same sport you're doing. Maybe I'll sit on the bench, but I'll be playing the same sport. I mean, I'm taking Concordia, I'm taking Benedictine, I'm taking Dominican colleges near that are Division 3, or ones that I know of. I mean, I think Concordia baseball is the only one where, like, you can't really be on the team or whatever. I don't know how that works. I've never really tried, but Division 3 athletes, like, I've seen soccer players, basketball players sign up. Like, I can be on the team too. Like, they're not gonna deny me if I'm on the team. I don't know those elite Division 3 schools that have that, but no Division 3 schools give scholarships. So I don't really know what you're signing up for, because you can quit whenever you want and you won't lose a scholarship. Unless you're obviously doing like music and all that other stuff, which you do offer scholarships for that. But if you're signing for like a sport like soccer, basketball, football, saying, "Oh, I'm gonna play this school," I'm like, well, I can join too, and we're both gonna be playing with no scholarships. I don't get that. That's always just bugged me. I don't know. Also, another thing that bugs me is people that hate on you based on what team you cheer for. Again, why should me cheering for the Lakers bug you if you're a diehard Bulls fan? Like, why? I don't get it. I've never gotten it. It's my opinion. The fact that whatever I like is bothering you is a you problem. That's just something that I think is ridiculous. I don't know why people just do that. I mean, just do you and let me do me. Who cares? All right, the third thing is people that hate on you but won't help you. Someone that will see you struggling and then go and talk about you to other people. Those are the worst type of people. I mean, I've dealt with that in the past. I don't really like those people, because they'll see you struggling, they'll hate on you, but they won't help you. I don't really understand what goes on in the person's head. And also it shows what type of person you are if you go and talk about that person while you see them struggling, and why, So, again, I've dealt with that. I'm not a huge fan of that. If I see someone struggling, I'll try to help them out. Obviously, I'm a beginning teacher. I'm a beginning coach. I'm not going to do a lot of helping out. But, it all comes through experience or whatever. But, if you see someone struggling and you're pretty much an expert at this thing that they're struggling on, help them. Don't go around saying, "Oh, they suck at this." Go out and help them. I mean, come on. I mean, seriously. I mean, grow up, honestly. All right, now I want to get to this subject, why the NBA needs to finish this season. And this is what I'm going to say, because I'm going to get a lot of hate from all these Michael Jordan lovers and Michael Jordan and LeBron haters. The NBA needs to finish their season, because in my honest opinion, I thought LeBron was going to get his 4th ring. I can't guarantee next year, because I feel like next year the Lakers are old. It's a bad draft. It's a bad free agency. I don't think there's going to be many free agents that are, that can move the needle. Again, this was LeBron's year to win his 4th championship. I honestly, the way it was looking in March before the season ended, they were just amazing. Like, they gave up that last game to Brooklyn. Like I said, it's a Tuesday night game. No one really knows what's going on. A lot of stuff was going on during that week where they kind of beat the Clippers and then, lost to the Nets. Again, I thought LeBron was going to win his 4th ring. that was just my opinion. I just thought he was going to win his championship. I said if he won this year, he was for sure going to win next year. And then year 19 and 20, he was going to sit around or just kind of be a decent player, not be the best. I guaranteed a championship this year for him. Also, the anticipated Western Conference Final. Since last July, everyone's been talking about the Lakers and the Clippers in the Western Conference Finals. I thought it was going to be like just a brutal matchup for both teams. I thought whoever was going to come out deserves the championship right then and there. It was very, very anticipated, this Western Conference Finals. I don't think I've ever heard since July that the Western Conference Finals was already talked about. So much anticipated Western Conference Finals. I think if the season does come back again, play 5 regular season games to kind of build some rhythm, then get into the playoffs, and then that Western Conference Finals, wherever it happens, is gonna be amazing. Now I want to get into my playoff predictions. So obviously I have the West, the East. I have them all seeded. I thought, if they do come back, they're probably going to keep the same teams. The difference between the 8th in both conferences is by like 3-4 games. I don't think there's a point in playing 10 regular season games and seeing if teams make it that far. Because I just think it's wasting time at this point. I think, maybe 5-6 regular season games and then getting into the playoffs. But shortening the first round for sure, maybe to like 5 games instead of a 7-game series. All right, so I have, I'm going to keep as is the seeding. So it's obviously in the West, it's Lakers, Clippers, Denver, Utah, OKC, Houston, Dallas, and Memphis. And for the East, I have Bucks, Raptors, Boston, Miami, Indy, Philly, Brooklyn, and the Magic. Now, starting with the Eastern Conference, obviously I give the Bucks over the Magic 4-0. Miami and Indy, again, that was a series to watch out for because, you have 2 rising teams that, quite both aren't ready to win, but one of them's got to win this round. I give it to Miami in 7. I just think that at the end, Miami's toughness is going to overcome Indy. Boston and Philly. I was going to go with Philly here. I mean, this series can go either way. The 3-6 matchup can go either way. I'm going to give it to Philly because I think Philly had a winning record over Boston. I think it was like 3-1 or something, or like 2-1 or 2-2. But I think Philly had the matchup win over there. So I give Philly the first round win. Brooklyn and Raptors. Obviously, I'm going to give the Raptors maybe like 5 games. I don't give Brooklyn much of a chance without Kyrie and KD. For my Bucks, or for my Eastern Conference semifinals, I give the Bucks 4-2 against Miami. I think Miami's not ready to win. They got some tough players. I think they're a year away from actually competing. A year or 2, or a player or 2 away from like actually competing. So I'm going to give the Bucks the win. Philly and Raptors, again, it can go either way, but I think the Raptors are going to win because I think Philly's, again, I keep hearing they're too dysfunctional. They're not good enough. I'm going to give the Raptors the win over here. Brings me to my Eastern Conference Finals. I'm going to go with the Raptors because the way they played a lot of these teams is just amazing. Obviously, the way they play Philly in the regular season, the way they play Boston in the regular season, the way they play Milwaukee in the regular season, I think it's a tough matchup. I think they win in 7, but I think, this series can definitely go either way just because they're missing Kawhi. But I think, again, I like Nick Nurse. That Raptors team, championship caliber team. I think that matters in a late playoff series. Shifting to my Western Conference first round, Lakers, Grizzlies, again, Lakers in 5 or 4, not much to talk about there. Utah and OKC, the 4th and the 5th seed. I think OKC wins because I just think that they're having like a great season. Utah, again, is streaky. They're good, they're not. I think OKC would surprise them in a 6-game series. Denver and Houston, 3 and the 6th seed. I'm going to give Denver the win in 5 or 6, just because, again, Denver can, they're a good like team as a whole, and I think they can hold Houston's Harden down, and I think they can hold Russell Westbrook down because they're they're so Harden and Westbrook centric. Dallas and Clippers, I think Dallas isn't ready to win yet, so I think they're going to give the Clippers a little bit of a challenge because I think they match up well. They're a year or two away from actually like being really good. I give them a loss, 4-2 to the Clippers. Again, the Clippers are just a pretty good team. Brings me to my semifinals, Lakers and OKC. Again, I think it'll be a nice story for Oklahoma City. I think the Lakers will win in 5. I think OKC has a potential of stealing a game, but that's about it. Denver and Clippers, I think it'll go 7. I think Denver matches up well, especially the way they play. I think the Clippers will struggle some games to kind of start the game. Just because they haven't really played with each other that much. So I think Denver will kind of take advantage at some time during the game. But again, I'm going to give the Clippers in 7. Brings me to my Western Conference Finals. I'm going to go with the Lakers winning in 6. Just because, again, I said this before, this was LeBron's year. LeBron wants to start the season again because he wants to play. And I think that's a scary sight. Brings me to my Lakers and Raptors. I'm going to go with Lakers in 6. I think the Raptors will maybe steal a game or 2 away from the Lakers because I think, again, championship team, I think they matched up well when they played that one time. They really took advantage of the Lakers. And again, I just think the Lakers are ultimately going to win because, in the playoff series, you focus on just that team. So I think it's kind of hard for the Raptors. But again, I give the Raptors in the finals. You guys can hate on me for that. I know on Facebook I said something else, but I'm going to stick with this one because I actually went through it and actually kind of, talked it over in my head. Those are my NBA predictions, and those are, some reasons why I want the NBA to come back. All right, now to kind of wrap it up, I know I talked a lot about sports and a lot of things in this video. I'm not surprised if it's like, 30, 40 minutes long. I hope you enjoyed it. I know for me, this is the last week of school for me. I'm really, really excited to kind of officially have my, free time instead of worrying about remote learning every single day and working on that for like 8 hours a day. So, again, I'm really excited. I'll try to come back next week for another episode. No guarantees. Please watch my food videos, my cooking side of my show. I will upload 2 videos on that, on how to cook a cheese taco and I think it's eggs and chorizo. So watch out for that video. Please like and subscribe, and I hope you enjoyed. Remember, if you want to debate me, I'm always happy and willing to kind of Zoom call or Google Meets with you to kind of debate these things, or we can just, have a conversation about something else. So hope you enjoyed the show, and thanks.